everybody, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I am your host today. I'm sitting here with Betsy, and I didn't say my name yet. My name is Trent, but you should already know that because it is in the title of the podcast. Guys, we're going to party like it is 1999 again because we're going back to 1999 to cover a movie that we have not seen yet. Betsy, what are we covering today?
The animal attacks continue, and we are watching Lake Placid.
Now, Lake Placid is a movie, at least a movie title, that has been in my brain now going on 27 years. Like all the movies that we're covering this month, neither of us have actually watched this movie yet. But Betsy, what do you know about this animal attack movie from 1999?
So Lake Placid is in New York, I think. Is that correct?
I don't know.
You don't know. Perfect. Off to a great start.
Yep.
It is an alligator, I assume.
Or is it a crocodile?
Well,
that's the biggest question I have because even as a small boy, I've never been able to remember what the fuck is the difference.
America has alligators. We don't have crocodiles. Crocodiles have a long, skinny snout. Alligators have a short, stout.
Is this like a hemispherical kind of a difference because northern hemisphere have this and southern hemisphere have that? Or is it like a freshwater, saltwater kind of situation?
Could be that. I don't really know, but I do know that that's the distinction. If you're looking at one, you can look at the snout.
Yeah.
So my guess is it is an alligator because it's set in the United States, a freakishly large one. If it is a crocodile, it is an invasive species. And the only person I know for sure who is in it is Betty White.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Somewhere
you should have saved that one,
I should have led with that. No. I am almost positive she is in this movie.
Okay. Going back to another water-centric movie that I love, that being, of course, Hard Rain, also from the 90s.
Also starring Betty White.
Also starring Betty White, exactly. But we're not talking, unfortunately, we are not talking about Hard Rain today. We're covering Lake Placid. The only other person that I know who is in the movie is Bill Pullman. Okay. I think he is the main guy here.
Yes, I think he is the star of the movie. But it's 1999, and I don't know what that exactly translates to as far as his star power goes.
Right, because when did Independence Day come out? Was that 96?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's well enough past that where his star has maybe faded a little bit from the American, psyche.
He's making a dumbass animal attack movie about a gator.
Maybe he's just taking the paycheck. I don't actually care. But do you know anything about the plot here? The movie itself, before we actually go in here, it is only an hour and 22 minutes.
This weirdly came up in conversation in my office a few weeks ago.
Really?
There were people who were like, I love Lake Placid.
Oh, shit.
And I don't know if it's just because they enjoy it because it's so ridiculous or why it came up exactly. I just remember them saying they really liked it, which is really surprising to me because of the 5 movies we're covering, I would argue this is the least familiar to people.
Maybe it depends on your age because you work with a lot of people who are a little bit older than you, maybe like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a much bigger deal back in the 90s when it was brand new. I have no idea. But we only have one more left to go. And I feel like the one we're going to be covering next week is the most known out of everyone. But we're not talking about next week. We're talking about Lake Placid. I don't know anything else about this movie, Betsy. Unless you have anything else to say, we're going to go and watch it.
I've got nothing, Trent. This is another one like you where I was around when it came out. I remember the advertising. It was something very silly that has stuck with me since high school, but I've never sat down to watch it.
And even when we were kind of workshopping what this series was going to be, Lake Placid was one at the top of the list every single iteration. So we were going to cover this no matter what. So with that, we're going to go watch Lake Placid. We will be right back. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, we're back. Guys, that was Lake Placid. Betsy, what did you think of that one?
God, this movie is stupid.
Oh, it's so great.
It's so stupid. You can tell that there are just large chunks of information missing to the plot. Nothing makes any sense. They just kind of jump to the point. 5 stars. It's so stupid.
It's so
but it's
good,
fun.
though.
This is the kind of movie where it's just like, guys, we're making a fucking crocodile attack movie that takes place in a lake in Maine. What do you expect? If you thought this was going to be high art, you have set your expectations wrong.
Yeah, you are very much mistaken as to what this movie was supposed to be and what it is, to the point where I don't think that they really had it all in line until they got Oliver Platt on board here. And it literally seems like the filmmakers here thought, well, it's going okay. I'm not having enough fun here, so let's call in a favor. Do we know anybody with a helicopter? Do we know anybody who knows Oliver Platt? Can we please get some levity in this dumbass movie? And from there, I was totally bought in.
Yeah, if that character hadn't been in the movie, without him, it would be so boring.
Yeah, because all you would be left with is this, I don't know, almost unspoken attraction between Bill Pullman and the chick. And even by the end of the movie, you know how I always, and I mean always, complain when there is an unnecessary romance in a movie that doesn't need to be there. They don't quite go that far, but it is here. There is a presence amongst, I don't know, everybody in the movie.
There's an unnecessary romance at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Why did we have to have the beginning of the movie? Like, are you really trying to make this into like a Indiana Jones type movie?
I don't know what the point of the beginning is, because it's Mariska Hargitay, who I have literally never seen in anything other than Law and Order, and Adam Arkin, and they are both co-workers / her boss, but she was dating one of them.
Yeah, at the Museum of Natural History. Is that what that museum was?
I think so. But he dumps her while they're at work.
Right.
And then this is how we're going to set up why she's going to Maine.
Oh, by the way, I'm breaking up with you, and I heard somewhere that somebody found a tooth that looks like it's this, and you're a paleontologist, so we're going to send you out for field work because I don't want you around me anymore.
The plot is insane. That is the most ridiculous plot point we could have come up with. Like, why? She says a few times. Other people say it too. Why are you here?
Yeah.
I was asking the same question.
You're a paleontologist. You're literally there with a paintbrush trying to, I don't know, unearth things that were found in the ground from millions of years ago. That's what she is doing when we are meeting her for the first time.
Her expertise is animals that are long dead.
Yeah.
Why in the world would you call her up to look at a tooth fragment for a living creature?
Yeah. Clearly something attacked this half-man, and the tooth that fell out of the corpse looks like it's something that, I don't know, is very prehistoric. So they call up the Museum of Natural History to get a paleontologist to come and look at the tooth. Now, guys, this is 1999. Digital cameras exist, microscopes exist, computers and the internet exist.
Email.
Why do you have to have somebody go there in order to look at a tooth? If that's all it is, why do you need to go there to look at a fucking tooth?
But more specifically, why is it a paleontologist? If you know this was a live animal attack, you don't know what the animal was, you just know it happened in the water, and this guy is dead. And you have part of a tooth. Why a paleontologist? That makes no sense. Bill Pullman being with Fish and Wildlife makes sense.
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson being with the local sheriff's office makes sense. But a paleontologist from a museum, an unnamed museum, the museum in New York, quote unquote, is all they keep saying.
Yeah, totally. We have been to that museum before.
But they never actually refer to it as the Museum of Natural History.
No, of course not, because you got to get permission for that.
Also, history, as in the past, as in why are you sending Bridget Fonda to Maine? It makes no goddamn sense. And then they make it even weirder when Oliver Platt shows up. He is an eccentric, rich guy who is into mythology, and somehow through his connections, he found out there might be a crocodile here.
Yeah, he is the one who brings up the idea that it's a crocodile and nothing else. They introduce that idea when he shows up there, and then we're just assuming that, yes, of course, because he's here, it's a croc.
He wouldn't be here if it wasn't.
Yeah. And then there's this overhanging thing about, well, all of the cultures throughout history, they all worship crocodiles. And why are you talking about this, man? What the hell does that have to do with anything here? There's a creature in this lake killing things, and we need to stop it.
And you and I have both seen a lot of these kinds of movies from the 90s where something is happening in part of America and they have to put a team together to investigate it. You know, a year before this, we had Godzilla. It's a similar thing. Dante's Peak, Volcano. There's just this string of movies that are like this where, oh, there's something strange happening. Let's send in a team.
Yeah, let's put a team together of a whole bunch of different experts from a lot of different backgrounds. Let's have some experts here and let's go investigate. But no!
But that is done with intention.
Yeah.
Those movies have a purpose. Like, okay, we don't know what it is, so we have called this person, and this person. Like Jurassic Park. We brought it up when we watched Deep Blue Sea. They have a paleontologist, they have somebody who knows plants, they have somebody who is into chaos theory. It's not the most logical group, but there's at least some order to the people that they have selected. Here, no one has been selected. Everyone just keeps showing up. They just arrive in Maine, and then the local authorities are like, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of our way.
Yeah, well, you have the local sheriff played by Brendan Gleeson, who is really, really trying not to have his normal accent.
He's wrestling that thing to the ground.
It's so bad. Along with all of his deputies who just tag along, including, I don't know, a really hot chick that gets hit on twice. And amongst these deputies are a couple of people that just are fodder that get fed into the water. Those people are law enforcement. Why are you here as law enforcement out in the woods trying to find some kind of animal? Because clearly this is not a person who is doing this. There's no crime being committed here. Why are the cops here? Then you have the other side with Bill Pullman. We have him representing the Game, Fish, and Parks Department of Maine, I guess. He doesn't really have anybody else underneath him that is along for the ride. It's just him. He is in charge of the entire state of Maine. Every single lake, every single animal, every single fish, all under him. And then we have the Bridget Fonda character who just comes in, and Betsy, I'm just going to say, they try to make her as unlikable as humanly possible in the beginning of this fucking movie.
Oh, yes.
I cannot believe how much they just make her seem like a fucking New York bitch.
I just have problems with being outside. I have a thing with mosquitoes and a thing with ticks and a thing with camping.
She's constantly complaining.
She also contradicts herself because she talks about, well, when you said camping, I thought you meant like a Ramada Inn.
A Ramada Inn, dropping the name brand of a hotel chain.
But then later she's just like, that water's really flat. I'll bet I could skip a stone. I used to go camping with my family.
Right.
Okay, wait, which is it? Which is it? That you went to the Ramada Inn and you hate being outdoors, or that you spent time outdoors with your family? Because you cannot have it both ways.
Also, you have the ability to like stitch up wounds and, I don't know, be a nurse.
My dad was a doctor.
Right. Where did you learn that? Like, you are an every person. And it's not like she is just brought in here to be the eye candy. She's not in here to be the damsel in distress. Yeah, she screams a couple of different times and, she falls out of the boat a couple of times. I don't really know why she's here. Nobody knows why she's here.
Nobody knows why any of these people are here. I'm going to take it back even further, Trent, to the opening scene of the movie. What exactly is Brendan Gleeson doing on this lake?
Yeah, why is there a guy in a scuba suit going down into this lake where he comes up like underneath what looks like a big ass log?
He's checking out beavers, apparently.
Is that what it is? I didn't even get any of that.
There was kind of that jump scare where something comes out. It was a beaver leaping out of its little home.
Okay. But yeah, I'm trying to think back to that little scene of them in the boat and he's eating Twinkies. Why the hell are they even there? Why is the sheriff there, for fuck's sake?
It would have made more sense if Bill Pullman was with him. If the fish and wildlife guy was in the boat at the beginning of the movie. Why is the sheriff there?
Just take Brendan Gleeson out of it and put Bill Pullman there instead. I would have been completely okay with that.
It would have made way more sense. But they don't set up exactly what any of this is. They don't set up anything at the beginning of it.
No.
They just literally need to get to the point of the movie. So here we are in this lake. Don't worry about it. And this guy is ripped in half.
Betsy, the Bill Pullman character, I don't think could have been more blasé and uncaring about any single person, any single thing in the movie. It seems like all he's trying to do here is get everybody away out of his business, out of his lake, out of his woods so that he can continue doing whatever the fuck he does every day. He just doesn't care. And it is immediately apparent after he is getting stitched up by Bridget Fonda in that tent, where I can't even remember exactly what he says. But again, he's very dismissive. He's very blasé about everything that is happening. And she's saying, well, you know, people have died as a result of what's going on here. Why are you not more, I don't know, caring?
And they also keep saying, like, oh, well, the higher-ups won't send anybody unless they have confirmation
of somebody seeing
something. We have to
something.
know what it is before we will send in the reinforcements. And then they don't show up until it's all fucking over.
But then again, Bill Pullman doesn't actually want them to come. They have complete confidence that they can take care of whatever this is. But to what end? To what end? Betsy, the ending scene here, when they're debating whether or not to kill the thing, or try to capture it and then do something to it, to study it, to put it in a zoo. I have no idea what the end game is here.
Relocate it.
But yeah, it's these two different dynamics going back and forth about science versus safety. And of course, Oliver Platt being the odd man out, being very spiritual about it, I guess. But again, even that whole dynamic doesn't really make sense because they don't really ground these people in any kind of ideology.
They don't ground these people in anything. We are glossing past so much critical information as to who these people are. Why should I be invested in them? I'm frankly just expecting all of them to be eaten at any moment, and I would laugh because it's being set up as horror comedy, where it's just like, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to be invested in these people. Don't worry about these questions. Because they're gonna die.
That's the thing, though. All of these other movies that we have covered so far in When Animals Attack, all these other movies, somebody important in the cast gets killed, or at least injured in some way. None of the main people in this movie get killed. Even at the very end, when Oliver Platt is attacked standing on the beach, it's the second crocodile coming in. He doesn't even really get that injured. He gets to be on the gurney and go into the ambulance, go into the hospital. But he seems fine. The only people who get killed are the fodder people. The people we don't even know their fucking names. You barely even see their faces on screen. And you know, maybe that's because the movie is literally only an hour and 22 minutes long. You don't spend the time to set any of these people up. And maybe, and I'm just saying maybe it makes for a better movie because everybody survives.
Oh, if it was...
I don't know.
If it was much longer, I don't know what you possibly could have done.
The only thing you could have done is kill more people. That's it.
Yeah, it's just, you're on this lake. We don't have the budget to show the crocodile very often.
No.
And the cast isn't that big, so either we're going to have to kill everybody, or we have to cut this short, have one big final scene where the fucking thing tries to eat the helicopter, or whatever he does, and then the movie's just kind of over. Now, this sounds like we're complaining. It's because there's lots of plot holes, but also, I really enjoyed how stupid and silly this was.
I had such a great time watching this movie, and I could 100% see myself watching this movie again, just throwing it on some Saturday afternoon or during dinner or whatever it is that we do. Oh yeah, this is maybe an all-timer in this genre of movie.
It's so low stakes. It's a low stakes movie, and I think everybody involved in making it knew it was low stakes.
You know how you know it's low stakes? Do you remember anybody's name in the movie? Any character name whatsoever?
Considering the number of times they repeated Oliver Platt's name, you'd think I would remember.
Is it Harry?
Hector.
Hector. I knew it was
Hector. He says it like 23 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think it's Hector.
They even make a joke about Brendan Gleeson's character not remembering his name.
I don't know his name.
No.
Brendan Gleeson. Nope. Don't know his
He's
character.
the sheriff.
Then there's Betty White, who is Mrs. Somebody.
Yep.
And then Bridget Fonda, I want to say, is called Kelly.
Kelly, yeah, I think you're right.
And then at some point she referred to Bill Pullman as Jack, and I don't remember him ever being called that until the end of the movie.
I have no idea. But Betsy, I think that is a good enough place for us to take a quick break. We have a lot more things to say about Lake Placid, but first we're going to take a word from our sponsor. We will be right back. Critics everywhere are raving about patreon.com/neverseenitpod. Superfan Stephanie says, all this for $5 a month? Incredible. Phineas Butterfield of the New England Journal of Medicine calls it available content. Betsy's grandma says, what's a podcast? Don't miss your chance to experience this phenomenon. Join today. You know, Betsy, while Bridget Fonda and Bill Pullman might be the top billed actors in the movie, there are two stars of the movie that we have to talk about here. Because I'm a gentleman, I'm going to say ladies first. Let's talk about Betty White. Betsy, I mentioned in the intro that I love a little movie that came out the year before called Hard Rain. That also stars one Betty White, where she is this really spitfire of a lady who is married to a guy who is just kind of putting up with her shit. I fully believe, because I have seen Hard Rain so many times, that this is the same fucking character who moves away from whatever the town of Hard Rain is, moves to Maine, sets up a little cabin, and then eventually kills her fucking husband who follows her there.
Now, to be fair, she didn't really kill her husband. That was just what she said in the beginning, only to later reveal her husband was accidentally eaten by the crocodile that they were feeding.
You know, Betsy, I would believe both things. I would totally believe that at one point, maybe they didn't have any food available and she really wants to feed this crocodile. She offed her husband and fed the body to the croc.
I mean, cows are not exactly a dime a dozen. How often are you feeding an entire cow to a 30-foot crocodile?
I don't know. I didn't see like how many cattle they actually had on this ranch, if you even want to call it that. But I wouldn't put it past her that she would do such a thing. And just like in Hard Rain, Betty White is just full of piss and vinegar, and I guess this is just the era of her career where filmmakers just wanted to see her and hear her do some really wild shit.
I think they were now starting to cast her against type. Because in 99, we're not that many years removed from the Golden Girls.
Not really.
That was the late 80s that finished up, or even the early 90s.
It was the early 90s.
And she is known as the squeaky clean member of the Golden Girls. And in both Hard Rain and especially in Lake Placid, she gets to swear.
Yeah, she
gets
is a foul-mouthed old lady.
She's my angel. She's my hero. She's an American treasure. I'm so happy she's in this. I remember distinctly the commercial for this movie where they use the clip where she says, I'm rooting for the crocodile. I hope he swallows your friend's whole.
Is that against the law? Are you going to arrest me for wanting that? Man. And just some of the lines that she has given here, and she delivers with such, it's just so impeccable how she delivers these lines. When she's talking with Brendan Gleeson and she says, if I had a dick, this is where I would tell you to suck it. And she calls him Officer Fuckmeat. What even is that?
I don't know, but I don't care.
But I love it.
I love her so much. Save this old woman at all costs. Because guess what? She's not going to get eaten by the crocodile.
Oh, no.
Those crocodiles know who is taking care of them. And at the end of the movie, we get that final little reveal of her dipping her toes in the lake and feeding the little baby crocodiles.
Yeah.
She's going to be the queen of the crocodiles as those grow up.
I also love how she just continually repeats, I'm not breaking any laws. I didn't murder that person. I just happen to be facilitating the ability for these crocodiles in order to commit murder.
I don't know how it got here. I don't know how long they've been here.
Yep.
No one else lives up here. The only other thing it's been eating up until this point are bears and moose and other small creatures that live around the lake.
Small creatures.
Small creatures. A 7-foot moose.
Oh, man. But unfortunately, we don't get to see her on screen all that often. They kind of talk about her as, oh, there's only 1 or 2 people who actually live on the lake. And then she has this story about, well, my husband died. And everybody's very curious. Okay, how did your husband die? I'm not accusing you of anything, but how did your husband die? Because we've had reports of something, some animal, something in the water that has been eating people and eating other animals. We want to know if it came after your husband. And she just tells this story about, well, he was getting a little slow and not really there anymore. So he asked me to put him out of his misery. So I obliged and hit him with a frying pan. You know, the way you off people in the middle of nowhere.
And she just confidently tells this to a police officer.
Right. Like, what are you gonna do? Oh, Betty White, that fucking big dick energy just coming off of her. I loved it.
So perfect in this movie.
But the other person, Betsy, now that we're done with Betty White, the rest of this episode is just going to be the Oliver Platt appreciation hour because good God, do I love that man.
We talked about him at length when we watched the movie Chef.
Yeah, and he's only in that movie for a very short amount of time.
But I told you then, and I'll say it again now, I'm madly in love with Oliver Platt.
Yep.
It feels like what you said earlier. We needed some levity. Get Oliver Platt. But it's so pitch perfect to who he is as a character actor that I'm like, did you have a script? Because it just sort of feels like you showed up, made up this character, and rolled with it, and everyone else had to oblige.
That honestly feels like how this went here. Because maybe they got on set and they decided, you know what? This is pretty fucking lame. I got some extra money in the budget. Oliver Platt is cheap. Let's spend the money on him and this extra helicopter and let's have a good time. Let's get some levity up in here and make a good-ass movie.
The most absurd things that happen in the movie are typically revolving around his character.
It's his character bouncing off of the Brendan Gleeson character and him just having a good time with the character and with the situation going on and him spouting off of the mouth about fucking crocodiles in general and the history and the mythology behind them.
And also having sex with every woman except they haven't had sex. Vigorous sex.
Oh boy. He says here, she'd tell you that we had sex together? So vigorous. I'm horrible in bed. They never remember. And that's just the second scene that he's in. They're out on the boat and they're using his fucking technology in the boat trying to look for these fucking animals. So it's just right off the bat after he shows up, he inserts himself into this group and he is now their leader.
And once again, why is he here? Nobody stops him from being here.
And nobody fucking calls him. He just shows up out of nowhere with his fucking helicopter. She, for some reason, knows who it is. Bridget Fonda's character knows who he is. But yeah, I don't really know and I don't really care. I really don't care because he is the best thing in this movie.
And he gets the great moment where he is in the water and he is face to face with this fucking creature. It is a 30-foot crocodile. And that's the longest you get to look at it up to this point. And it's just the top of it floating in the water, staring at him. And he is staring back, slowly backing up, and then gets out of the water. He manages to escape.
Well, he also deploys that flotation device too to distract the thing away. So he was able to fly away in the helicopter, but not until the croc bites onto the landing gear of that thing and almost pulls it down.
And you almost get an explanation as to this. Like, he is somebody who deifies the crocodile.
Yeah.
He thinks, well, they are an ancient being. It's 150 years old, and it deserves our respect. Like, that's how he feels about the crocodiles. He wants to swim with them. He wants to be near them. But then when he's face to face with one, he's like, fuck that, and gets out of the water.
Yeah.
But it's still at the end of the movie, him and Bridget Fonda who are saying, we don't have to kill it. We don't have to kill it. Look, it's got no fight left in it.
Yeah.
We trapped it. We won. And then he gets snatched out of the water by a surprise second crocodile.
Yeah.
Why did they throw that in here?
I'll tell you why, Betsy. It's because you needed to have some kind of explosion at the end of the movie. You get to have your cake and eat it too.
One last scare by having a second crocodile that nobody knew was there, except for Betty White, apparently.
Yep.
But we never go back to talk to her to get that full story.
And she's not going to talk either.
But I was expecting an explosion because I'm like, is this just going to go the full Jaws route and we're going to blow up the 30-foot crocodile?
Uh-huh.
But no, we got the two conservationists who say, no, we can do something. We can get it out of here. We can move it. So you're right. We had to find a different way to get a big explosion.
Yeah. There's almost a Chekhov's gun here happening too, where at the beginning of the movie, when Bridget Fonda is introduced to everybody in front of that shop, he pulls out that gun and shows the case of where he's storing it. And he says something to the effect of, yeah, this is my big gun for just in case I need to have it for some reason. So they show the gun, they show the big explosive rounds. So clearly he has to use it at some point in the movie. But you know, when that entire scene is going on at the end, he does shoot it. He shoots it away. He shoots it up because I think he was distracted or he was like falling down or was being attacked. I don't remember. But I think when he actually shoots it and it explodes, that was his second round. That was his last shot, I guess. But anyway, back to Oliver Platt. There's more things to talk about with him, to the point where he has this fucking dance party. He pays a bunch of the sheriff's deputies to dig holes around his tent. And while they're outside digging the holes, he invited in the attractive sheriff's deputy. And he says something to the effect of, man, law enforcement is really dangerous work, isn't it? And you have such big, wonderful boobs.
Could we please have the tent? We were hoping to mate.
We were gonna mate.
We were gonna mate.
Jesus, man.
He's awful, but also, I love you so much. You ridiculous man.
He's such the best thing in this movie. I defy you to find a better fit for this role. And I would just like to say, this was not planned, by the way. We are recording this on a Sunday, just yesterday. I told Betsy this weeks ago. I was thinking, you know what? I got a hankering. I've been really wanting to rewatch the show Huff. It was on in the early 2000s. It was on Showtime. Nobody ever fucking saw it. It was a really great show. But Oliver Platt is maybe second billing in that show, and he is fucking ridiculous. Take this character, put him in a suit, that is his character. I loved his performance in the show Huff. Just yesterday, I rewatched the entirety of the first season of Huff, and today I'm watching Lake Placid with Oliver Platt. I am so happy right now.
I do see that through line because I have also watched Huff. That, yeah, they're kind of the same character, that one and this one.
Yeah, like I said, put him in a suit. He's the same guy.
They just kind of say the things they're thinking out loud.
Yeah, he's a hornball.
No matter how offensive they might be to the people around. But deep down, they do have some humanity to them.
Yeah. But Betsy, I think we would be remiss if we did not take a moment here to talk about the actual animal here in this When Animals Attack episode. So this entry into our series is about a crocodile. And there are plenty of other movies that have covered very similar animals, and I'm sure they're structured very similarly, but this is kind of a bigger budget movie. What did you think of the 4 minutes that the crocodile was on screen?
As I kind of expected with this kind of movie, we don't get the full reveal until quite a ways into the movie. And because it's only an hour 22, it's just like, okay, you guys have really taken your sweet fucking time showing me this creature. But I will say they do animatronics for a lot of the crocodile, so you get the physical, tangible thing in the movie. And in those moments, impressive.
Yeah, it's actually in the water. It is displacing this water and splashing and doing all the things that you would expect a crocodile to do in the water.
And it's fucking huge.
Yes.
It is a big, impressive piece of machinery that they built. Now, when it is animated, like Deep Blue Sea, it looks terrible.
Okay, I think it looks better than Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
When it is on land and it is thrashing about and like hitting Bridget Fonda with its tail, I felt that. It didn't look bad.
It helps that the final scene, the final reveal, is at night.
Yes.
So you don't have to make it look as good as you would if it was during the day.
You're right. But I would agree with you. When it is in the water, I felt its size. I felt its presence. What I did not appreciate about this movie is how they really wanted to have the Jaws vibes come out of this, especially at the very beginning when that diver was down there and you can see the perspective of the crocodile. And there's maybe even some homages to the John Williams score from that movie. Who knows? But yes, for 1999, I am impressed with what they were able to accomplish.
And there are plenty of moments where it gets to leap out of the water and eat people. Like it decapitates a guy, it rips a guy in half, it eats a fucking bear. The bear was wild. When we just came off watching Cocaine Bear, we get this brown bear comes running out of the woods. For no reason, we don't know where this bear came from. There's been no talk of a bear.
Nope.
It stands up, screams at all of the people, and then it gets taken. It gets dragged into the water and everybody is just left staring.
Yeah, I leaned over to Betsy and I said, look who's the real king of the jungle. It's the fucking croc. Come on. Yeah, I also really found that effective when that bear showed up and everybody's freaking out because of the bear. Because up to this point, you hadn't actually seen the crocodile yet, and everybody's talking, well, the only thing or the only animal that would be able to do such a thing would be a bear. Those are the only types of animals that could do such a thing in these parts.
And a bear can swim. A
Sure.
bear could definitely do that to a person. Probably not underwater the way it is depicted at the beginning of the film.
Baby, yeah. The guy being pulled out of the water and the bottom half of him is just fucking gone. There are two moments in this movie. That's one of them that reminded me, and this is very much apt to what's going on right now in video game world. That half guy and the big monster in the lake reminded me of Resident Evil games. In Resident Evil 2, there's a guy who gets chopped in half through a security door, and he was also eaten by zombies. That's one example. And then in Resident Evil 4, there is a giant goddamn fish that is attacking you in a boat.
And this is the most obvious homage to Jaws, in my opinion, because the first victim in Jaws, we don't see it because it was the 70s and we didn't go that far. But they're in a box. There's just half a person.
Nothing fucking left of that body.
Half a person in a little box and they describe what they're seeing. We get to see it in this one. It's just so gnarly.
Oh boy. I do like how they don't, I don't want to see it anyway, but I like that they don't linger on that half body, especially when it's in the morgue, and her just saying, oh, I can handle the sight of a dead man, or oops, I meant dead body, because, hey, she just got dumped and she wants all men to die because, hey, she's a heinous bitch.
I guess.
I feel like that's what they were trying to set up here.
It's not a particularly well-written movie, which is ironic because as the credits are rolling, it says David E. Kelley. And Trent, I had to explain to you who David E. Kelley is. And in 1999, he was a big deal because he was coming off of creating Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
And The Practice. And then I think he also maybe did Boston Legal. The point is, in the late 90s, he was a big, important guy. And now we're trying to get him from TV into the movies. And I'm sure that is why this one got greenlit. We were making a lot of these kinds of movies at this time.
Yep.
We literally just talked about one. And it just feels like a half-baked script. Like he said, oh, I've seen Jaws, but what if we do not that? We do a crocodile. And in Maine. 'Cause Maine? I don't know. Is that like a Stephen King homage? I'm not really sure.
I don't know. Which, by the way, they did not actually film this in Maine. I don't know where they filmed it, but that's not Maine. But anyway, all right, Betsy, was there anything else that you wanted to mention here? I only had a couple of minor things.
I guess really the only thing is something that we've talked about in each of these episodes, where in the other 3 movies, you could blame the humans for this.
Yep.
They don't even really try to do that in Lake Placid.
Yeah, we said in the other movies where, hey, these animals did nothing wrong. It's the humans that are to blame for their aggression and things like that. You're right. There's not really any explanation as to why this croc is here and this size other than Betty White continues to feed it.
It's a lot of just hypotheticals. Someone flushed it down the toilet. It swam across the ocean because it's apparently like an Asian crocodile.
Yep.
So somehow it came across the Pacific Ocean and then around and through to the Atlantic Ocean. It makes no goddamn sense.
Not at all.
Which is why they feel so strongly that they have to protect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fully fleshed out idea.
Speaking of flesh, there's another quote here I needed to pull out. When Bridget Fonda is, I think, on the boat for the first time and they come across those antlers in the water, they pull them up and there's that fucking moose head that's still there. She says, "Don't throw heads at me." And later on, the same thing happens. The guy who gets decapitated, his head is on the shore and for some reason it hits her again. What did she do to cause that to happen? I didn't see that.
It was just up on the land and something she touched made it roll.
Okay, fine. I just liked when she said, "Don't throw heads at me."
Well, and the second time she said, "I keep getting hit with heads."
Yes. And I have one last question here. What is the deal about Brendan Gleeson and him talking about not liking sarcasm? Between him trying really, really hard to have an American accent that he is failing at, and him talking about sarcasm, I did not understand what his deal was.
He's just a hard ass. He is a local, small town Maine cop. And he doesn't appreciate this. People are dying, and why am I the only one who takes this seriously?
Old man yells at cloud. Yep. Like I'm an old guy in the 90s, and I don't appreciate the young people being sarcastic, I guess.
It's like the script's not very good.
I guess. Well, if we wanted to continue our journey in the Lake Placid universe, because this was the early 2000s, you know, when movies like American Pie were out, apparently there are sequels to Lake Placid that are just excuses in order to get hot people in bikinis on the beach and, I don't know, have them get naked and get eaten by more crocodiles.
Those sound terrible in a bad way, and I don't think I'm interested.
Yeah, the early 2000s to mid 2000s were really weird when it came to those kinds of movies because I guess there was just a lot of money in that.
Trent, there was a lot of money in direct-to-DVD sequels. Most of the movies we've done in this series have several.
Except The Birds. For some reason, nobody ever wanted to create a sequel to The Birds.
That we know of.
Ha! We could do that. You
do
want to
not
create
want-
The Birds too?
No, thank you.
Too Fast, Two Birds.
No.
Too Fast, Two Birds, One Stone.
Anyway,
we're done with this one today. Guys, what did you think of Lake Placid? Did you see this back in 1999? Where do you think that it fits in the pantheon of When Animals Attack movies? Send your thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Just like our superfan Stephanie did about The Birds, the aforementioned The Birds. She says, "This was my first Hitchcock. It is nuts. The quality for the 60s is unreal. So terrifying, I love it. I think I watched this when I was about 9 or 10, and it definitely freaked me out. As a child, I had a hard time distinguishing between the real birds and the fake birds, but it seems so obvious now."
when you're a kid, yeah, you can't make the distinction even between this movie was made 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, or 50 years ago. I definitely, as a child, was like, stuff that happened in the 60s is now, right?
Yeah, I want to see the new Audrey Hepburn movie. You know, the new one coming out next week.
Let alone what is fake and what is real.
Right. She says, apparently poor Tippi Hedren did not know that there would be some real birds and ended up super traumatized. Not surprising.
A lot of that was going around in those days. Directors didn't really care about your feelings. If it meant them getting the shot, they'll traumatize the shit out of you.
Actors are disposable.
Yep.
We can lose Oliver Platt to being in the water for 5 days straight.
Who cares?
Who cares? She continues, I have not seen a ton of Hitchcock, Psycho, North by Northwest, Rear Window, Vertigo, and The Birds. I should definitely watch more. And so should we.
We absolutely need to. I'm trying to find a way to work Strangers on a Train into this show. Trent has never seen it. Stephanie, you can do whatever you like, whenever you like, so you should watch Strangers on a Train. I need to get somebody to watch this movie.
She finishes up by saying, this weekend we watched Weapons. It was good. There was a lot of hype around this one, and Amy Madigan is nominated for Best Actress. She was great, but overall, I had super high hopes and was a little let down. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie.
And obviously she sent us that a little bit ago because we are now in the future and Amy Madigan has since won an Academy Award for Weapons. I'm really surprised Stephanie had not seen Weapons before this time.
Considering the kinds of movies that Stephanie really likes, yeah, I'm surprised too that it took this long.
But we've heard lots and lots of people say we should put that on our watch list. So we're going to try.
And just to kind of clean up the rest of our Oscar-facing emails here, we got 2 more from Stephanie, one of them about The Secret Agent and then her rankings of the year. About Secret Agent, she says, this was a very interesting movie. It was moderately tense with moments of humor, but it was a little slow and disjointed. I thought Wagner Moura was great. I loved the vibes and the story was super interesting. I just felt a little dissatisfied. I need more information. Maybe this should have been a limited series. Anyway, it was good, but not my favorite. Yeah, I think this story begs for more information. You want to know the background of this guy. You want to know the background of, let's just say, the bad guy. And like Betsy and I were talking about in that episode, we just want to know more about the history of Brazil during this time. And Stephanie finishes the email by saying, we also watched War Machine. It was ridiculous, but lots of fun action. If you want to turn your brain off, but have some fun, it is a good option. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie.
I don't know what War Machine is.
I think I've heard the name in relation to it being a movie, but I don't know what it is. War Machine to me is the guy in the Iron Man series.
Exactly. That's where my brain immediately goes.
Sure.
And we haven't done a standalone of one of those. That would be boring.
Yeah, also, we're very, very behind on anything Marvel.
Which begs a lot of questions about the end of the year, if we're going to get back on that train or if we're just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, Betsy and I had a very short conversation about maybe we don't need to get caught up in order to see the Avengers movie because maybe we just don't go and see the new Avengers movie. That is also an option.
So time will tell, Trent.
Yeah. Anyway, to Stephanie's rankings of this year. She says, here we go. The Oscars are this weekend, and I am tapping out. With all the crap that we have going on between now and the Oscars, I'm not going to be able to watch the remaining nominees. I've watched 8 out of 10 of the Best Picture nominees. Here are my rankings. And before I get to these, the 2 that she's missing, she did not watch Marty Supreme or F1. Her rankings are number 8, Begonia, number 7, The Secret Agent, number 6, One Battle After Another, number 5, Sentimental Value, number 4, Frankenstein, number 3, Hamnet, number 2, Train Dreams, and number 1, Sinners.
So her list is actually closer to mine than to yours, I think.
Yeah, she had Sinners at number 1, you had Sinners at number 1.
We just both have Frankenstein a lot higher than she did.
Yeah, Frankenstein was number 1 for me, and I think, what, number 5 for you?
I think it was number 3, but I've already forgotten.
I don't know. Go back and listen to our Oscars special a few weeks ago. It was fun. Stephanie also provided her picks for all of the major categories for the Oscars this year.
Let's see how she did.
Yeah, she says Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor, nailed it. Best Actress, Jessie Buckley, nailed it. Best Supporting Actor, Jacob Elordi, did not get that. Best Supporting Actress, Wunmi Masaku, did not get that one. Original Screenplay, Sinners, yes. Adapted Screenplay, Hamnet, no. And Director, Chloe Zhao, also no.
But you know what? It's what she wanted, not what she was predicting. I'll bet if we had asked her to fill out, like, what do you think will win, would be a different ballot. Because Stephanie's smart. Yeah, obviously, she watched 8 of the movies.
Of course, this is her list. She finishes by saying, these are just my favorites, not who I necessarily think will win. There you go. I can totally see Hamnet or One Battle winning big, but damn am I hoping for Sinners. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie. So were we.
Yeah.
We were pulling for Sinners here because it was kind of going back and forth during the ceremony, but then one battle started to pull away, especially after the director category went to Paul Thomas Anderson. It was kind of a foregone conclusion at that point, but at the very least, Michael B. Jordan won, and Ryan Coogler won for Best Original Screenplay. And we knew early on, even before all the nominations came out, that it was going to be between these two movies, between
Absolutely.
One Battle and Sinners.
And I was just hoping, maybe Sinners is picking up some momentum. Maybe it could be a surprise win on the night. I was not in any way shocked with One Battle winning. Everyone kind of figured that was how it was going to go.
Yeah.
But when it was on the night going back and forth, everyone thought that would win cinematography. And then Sinners won cinematography.
Right, and everybody was like, oh, shit.
Everybody thought casting would go to Sinners, and then it went to One Battle.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, wait, what is happening tonight? Those were the moments where you still really didn't know. And then at a certain point, it started just tipping more and more towards One Battle. It's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
Unless
at
something
least
shocking
Sinners-
happens.
At least Sinners got something and didn't get completely shut out after getting the most nominations of all time. So overall, I am satisfied with the result. Yes, I wanted Sinners to win. I really wanted Frankenstein to get more than what it got, but
it won the ones you figured it was going to win.
yes.
No, this was an overall good year. I think we got treated to a lot of good movies. I keep hearing people say, sometimes the right movie wins, and then history is much kinder to the runner-up. If Sinners had won, everybody would be like, Sinners should never have won, and here's my hypothesis as to why, or here's my theories.
Oh,
And
yeah. Hindsight always being 20/20.
yeah, they are both great movies, super enjoyable. Aren't we lucky that they were both at the top of the pack?
Of course, and something has to win. I get that. But thank you very much, Stephanie, for sending in all those emails, all your thoughts about Oscar-related movies or not Oscar-related movies. Like Lake Placid, the movie we just covered in this episode. Sometimes I kind of forget which movie that we're actually covering when we start talking about a whole lot of other movies at the end of the episode. But of course, if you guys would like to send your thoughts about the Oscar ceremony, all the winners, all the losers, or When Animals Attack, send your thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. If you want even more content from us, go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where you can get oodles and oodles of more content from me and Betsy.
That is a technical unit of measurement.
That's right. It's scientific. You can't disprove science, guys. Lake Placid taught me that. But anyway, that is going to be the end of Lake Placid. And guys, I know we're actually recording this in the past and this is coming out in the future. Yesterday, when this episode is coming out, we actually posted our 5-year anniversary special. March 21st, 2021 was the first ever episode of Never Seen It. And by the time you listen to this, we have recorded and put out a brand new special about, just reminiscing about the past 5 years of the podcast.
Lessons learned, regrets, and hopes for the future.
Yeah, we have some announcements in there that I'm not prepared to talk about today because I don't actually know what I'm going to say in the episode. But I think the biggest announcement is, hey, we have one more platform that you can follow us on. We are now on Letterboxd. So go to your Letterboxd machine, whether that's your phone or a computer or a fucking typewriter, type in Never Seen It Pod on Letterboxd and follow us over there. Obviously, we will have more to talk about with the Letterboxd platform in the future, but for now, just go follow us. But with that out of the way, Betsy, we are done with Lake Placid. We have one more Animal Attack movie left to go, and what else could it be? What other animal could be attacking us, and where might they be attacking us from?
Well, it's another land creature, though this time it's in the sky. It's the Sam Jackson sandwich that we have created for ourselves.
Yep.
Because we started with Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea, and we will be finishing this series with probably, let's be honest, the reason we're doing this whole series. We're watching Snakes on a Plane.
I'm nodding my head. That is the exact reason why we are doing this entire series. We covered 5 movies so that we can cover 1. Come back next week for Snakes on a Plane. Until then, my name's Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye.